Good morning. We'd like to welcome you to another edition of the Sunday School Review. This week's Sunday School lesson is entitled Jesus Cooks Breakfast. Jesus Cooks Breakfast. And it's taken from the Gospel of John, the 21st chapter, verses 1 through 14. Now, there are two outlines in today's lesson. The first outline is gone fishing, and that is the 21st chapter of John, verses 1 through 6. And the second outline is verses 7 through 14 of John 21, and is entitled, "It is the Lord." Now, the Gospel of John is written by John the Apostle. He is one of the sons of Zebedee, the brother of James, also known as the son of thunder. Now, in John's Gospel here, this is the last chapter in John. That is the final chapter in the Gospel according to John's Gospel. Okay, let's start here with our first outline, and it's entitled Gone Fishing. And we're going to read verses 1 through 3, the first 3 verses here. And it's entitled The Disciples Fail. Now, let's read verse 1. After these things, Jesus showed himself again to the disciples at the Sea of Tiberias. Now, the Sea of Tiberias is also known as the Sea of Galilee. Okay, the Sea of Galilee. And on this wise showed he himself. Verse 2, there were together, okay, it's going to name the disciples that were there. There were together Simon Peter, that's one, and Thomas called Didymus, that's 2. Nathanael of Canaan in Galilee, that's 3. Okay, and the sons of Zebedee, that is James and John, that's 5. Okay, and 2 other of his disciples. So there were 7 of Jesus' disciples there on the Sea of Galilee. They had gone fishing. That is, and as you know, many of Jesus' disciples were fishermen. They were expert fishermen, okay? They were fishermen. So they had gone back to doing the things that they knew best, that is fishing. Okay, now, that's verse 2. So we said that there were the 7 of the disciples that are named here. These are 7 that were mentioned that were there fishing. Verse 3, Simon Peter said unto them, I go fishing. Simon Peter said, I'm going fishing. Verse 3, and they said unto him, we also go with thee. So the other 6 says, okay, we're going to go with you. Okay, 3b, and they went forth and entered into a ship immediately, and that night they caught nothing. Now, as I said, these were not novice. These were expert fishermen. Secondly, nighttime was the best time to catch fish. But they failed. They brought in nothing. They struggled all night to catch fish, and these were expert fishermen, but they were unsuccessful. They caught nothing. Okay. Now we go to verse 4 through 6. Jesus provides. Okay. Let's read verse 4. But when the morning was now come, so as I said, they fished all night and didn't bring in anything. Jesus stood on the shore, but the disciples knew not that it was Jesus. So there was an unrecognized stranger standing on the shore. Okay, remember, they were tired for fishing all night and they were hungry. Okay, and this unrecognized stranger standing on the shore, it was Jesus, but they didn't recognize him, according to verse 4. Then Jesus said unto them, this is verse 5. Then Jesus said unto them, children or friend, have ye any meat? Did you get anything? They answered, no. Okay. Now here is something that is important here. Okay. As I said, they were expert at fishermen, but they failed in bringing in any meat. Okay. So now they were in Galilee. They were back in Galilee, and they were following the words that the angel spoken to the women, that that Jesus said, tell my disciples, I will meet them in Galilee. Now, however, there was a specific, a designated meeting spot, and it was at the mountain. Okay. Now, all of the disciples, basically the 11, were in Galilee. Now, it just these 7 was on the Sea of Galilee fishing, but all of the 11 disciples were there. Okay, but here's the key in this thing. They was not in the perfect will of God. They was not in the designated meeting spot. Okay, that is by the mountain. Okay, so the takeaway from this is that if you're not in the will of God, things may not go so smoothly as it did here. They toiled all night and they caught nothing. Okay, and this is verse 6. This is important. And he said unto them, that is Jesus, the stranger, he said unto them, cast the net on the right side of the ship, and ye shall find. Okay. This was Jesus' instructions to them. Cast your net on the right side, and ye shall find. And part B of that 6th verse, they cast, therefore, and now they were not able to draw in for the multitude of fish. So they toiled all night and did not catch anything. But when they obeyed Jesus' words, when they obeyed him, they were successful. So what's the takeaway? When you obey the instructions of God, things will happen. Okay, things will work out for you. And this is exactly what it did here. Okay, now let's talk about chapter 21 which, as I said, is the last chapter in John. Now, chapter 21, they call it an epilogue or a postscript. Now, a postscript is to tie up loose ends. Okay, we're going to tie these loose ends up. Okay, one of the things is that this sharing this meal with the disciples shows that Jesus and his disciples are in full fellowship. Now, let's talk about the two things happen here. Okay, Jesus did not scold them. Well, I told you to meet me at this designated area, at the mountain, and you all are going back fishing. Okay, that's one. Secondly, Peter, I remember you denied me. Okay, so what this chapter is doing, this tied up loose end, letting Peter know, letting the disciples know, look, everything is fine. Okay, yes, Peter, I'm not holding this against you. Yeah, I remember you, Peter. Yeah, you denied me. Okay, everything is cool now. We in full fellowship. I'm not chastising you for denying me. I'm not chastising you guys for not following to the letter what I commanded you to do. Okay, and this meal, him being a host and providing the meals symbolize fellowship. As they said, when you break bread with friends and family, that shows community, that shows fellowship. You are forgiven, Peter. Peter, you are forgiven for denying me. I'm not going to bring that up. You are forgiven. But now just do what I tell you to do. Follow my instructions and things will work out for you. As this example here shows, they toiled all night and didn't bring in anything. But when they followed Jesus' instructions and cast their net on the right side, they brought in a haul that the seven could not bring in. And also the net did not break. We're gonna read that. We haven't read that yet. Okay. We at verse 6. Okay, they drew in a multitude of fish. Okay, now that takes us to the second outline. And the second outline starts at verse 17. It says, go to 14, it is the Lord. Okay, now let's read verse 7a first. Therefore, that the disciples whom Jesus loved said unto Peter, that is John, okay, said unto Peter, it is the Lord. Okay, when John said unto Peter, it is the Lord, in verse 7, now when Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, when he heard this, here's his reaction. He girded his fisherman's coat unto himself, in parentheses says, for he was naked. Now, he wasn't. Basically, when men fish, they generally was not, had on a fisherman's coat or whatever. They would take that off. They would fish as light as possible, okay? And then cast himself into the sea. Okay. Now let's go to verse 8. And the other disciples came in a little ship, but they were not far from land, but as it were 200 cubits, I think that's about 100 yards, dragging the net with fish. And as soon as they will come to land, they saw a fire of coals there, Okay, so as I said, we know there were 7 men out there. Okay, and verse 8 tells the other disciples came in a little ship, I guess a smaller ship, and they were and bringing in the net with fish. And when they got to shore, that's verse 9, when they got to shore, they saw fire of coals there, and the fish laid upon there, and bread. Okay, so Jesus is basically cooking fish. He's as the lesson points out, Jesus cooks breakfast. Now we know him as a master teacher, a master healer, but now we see him as a master chef. Okay, Jesus is preparing for their physical, and he's going to also prepare for their spiritual needs. So Jesus will prepare more than enough. Let's read verse 10, 11. And Jesus said unto them, bring the fish which ye have caught, which ye have now caught. Simon Peter went up and drew the net to land full of great fish, 153. And for all there were so many, yet was not the net broken. In other words, it was a big haul, but yet the net did not break. Now you say, well, how, it was 153. They counted the fish? Yes, because this was a partnership. Now, Peter, you ain't gonna get all the fish. We got to divide these fish up. So they counted the fish. That was the customary. Count the fish to see how many fish there are so they can divide them up equally, because it's a partnership or a joint venture. Okay, so yes, they counted the fish to see how many they were so they could divide them up equally. Okay, so the other takeaway is the Lord will provide more than enough. Okay, more than enough. He will supply all your needs. As I said, they were no doubt hungry and tired for fishing all night and bringing in zero, nothing. Okay, so the Lord was kind to them. He wasn't coming scolding them for being out of place. He did not scold Peter for denying him, but yet he was kind. He provided a meal for them to take care of their physical and spiritual needs. Okay, let's go to verse 12. Jesus said unto them, come and dine. We in full fellowship. We're not estranged. I'm not angry at you. I'm not scolding you for denying me, Peter. I'm not chastising you guys for not being in the designated area, okay? At the mountain, that is, okay? He said, come and dine, and none of the disciples does ask. They dare not ask, who art thou, knowing that it was the Lord. And this is our key verse. They recognize, based on his not only his appearance, they was able to recognize him based on his conduct. He was kind. He showed fellowship. We in fellowship. We have a shared community. Okay, you guys are restorated. There's no animosity. There's nothing here, because as the story ended, basically, just at the resurrection, just prior to the resurrection, they all turned their back on him. They all turned their back on him, and even Peter denied him. But they all are restored. They are restorated, and this meal provides that we all are one. We all are together. Okay. Then verse 13, Jesus said, Jesus then cometh, take bread and give them, and fish likewise. Okay, he is providing a meal for them. It's an example, or yet another example of the role of a servant, the servant role. So the idea is that if you remain in God's will, things will work out. But if you're outside of the will of God, things may not work out right, may not work out well. And this lesson proves that. Okay, once they obeyed his instructions, they were highly successful. And our last verse, it's Jesus' third appearance. Now, this is the third time that Jesus has appeared to his disciples post-resurrection. Post-resurrection. Okay. And verse 14, this is now the third time that Jesus showed himself to his disciples after he was risen from the dead. In other words, the third time that he has appeared to his disciples post resurrection. And this is our lesson today. And Jesus is, as I said, in this 21st chapter, final chapter of John, and as I said, they call it a epilogue or a postscript. And a postscript is the tie up loose end to show that there is no hard feelings with Jesus, with his disciples, Peter, and there were some other loose ends that they were that they tied up as well. But this shows the fact that if you stay in the will of God, things will be much better for you. And the fact that Jesus is still providing, acting in the servant role. In other words, he will supply all of your needs, just like he provided all of their needs, both spiritually and physically. And when they brought in this large haul of fish, that showed that he can provide more than enough. It was so many that the 7 men could not haul in the catch, could barely haul in the catch, yet the net did not break, and shows that everything is okay. There's no hard feelings about you guys denying me, turning your back on me. We are in full fellowship, and this shared meal shows that we are. Jesus said it in verse 12, which is our key verse. Jesus said unto them, come and dine. And generally speaking, as you know, you generally don't dine or have a meal with people, with your enemies, generally speaking, okay? That's generally speaking. It's people that you have a shared interest, have something in common. And this is what this says in 13th, that Jesus then cometh, take bread and give, and fish likewise. He shared a meal with his disciples. And that's our lesson today. We like to Thank you for watching us. We ask you to join us next week for another edition of the Sunday School Review. Thank you.